Prime Minister has dropped his plans to criminalise hate speech after the joint bill did not receive majority support in the Senate. Joining me live now is Shadow Attorney-General Andrew Wallace. Andrew, thanks for your time. What's your position on these hate speech laws?
Well, Ruben, the government's handling in relation to all of these things since Bondi has been an absolute shambles. Dennis Shanahan nailed it yesterday when he called this bill an Omni-Shambles, because that's what it has been. It's, from the fact that the Prime Minister belligerently refused to call a Royal Commission for 25 days, failure upon failure, despite so many parts of the community trying to drag him to see common sense, totally refused to do it. And of course, we're seeing that same sort of replicated process in relation to this bill. Now, straight after the event, Susan Lee offered bipartisan support to work with the government to come up with a bill that was workable, was common sense, that would actually achieve two things, and that is to address the issue of anti-Semitism and also combat the extremist Islamic approach that we have seen flourish in this country since October 7, 2023. And the Prime Minister flatly refused to be a part of that process. He knew better. He wanted to do it all himself, and he wanted to try and wedge the coalition in the process. And it turned out to be an absolute, utter failure, because the bill did neither of those two things.
Are there aspects of this bill, though, that the coalition, in theory, could support?
Well, Ruben, I'm not about to go into any great detail about what the coalition will or won't agree to. We've got our processes to go through. We've got another meeting tonight. The coalition leadership team, the anti-Semitism task force that was stood up by Susan prior to Christmas, has been meeting regularly over the break. Look, there are some things that of course, I think that we can work with. The increased penalties of offences that are already in place today. Those are things that I think that are relatively common sense. But at the end of the day, we've got to go through our processes.
And if hate speech doesn't go through...
Well, hate speech has been dropped off. The Prime Minister has realised that this is a dead duck, so he's removed it.
It could come back, though, in another form if the coalition supports certain aspects?
Well, that's hypothetical. The Prime Minister has indicated that the bill that he intends to introduce to Parliament on Tuesday will not contain the hate speech aspects, the racial vilification. So that, for the purposes of this sitting week, that's not on the cards.
OK. What other contributions can the coalition make in Parliament this week in terms of reforms?
Well, look, we've put some sensible reforms to the Prime Minister before Christmas. We talked about, ensuring that Gillian Siegel's report into anti-Semitism is carried through in full. We've talked about things like ensuring that our counter-terrorism and our intelligence laws are fit for purpose. We used the example of the Electronic Surveillance Act. It's a 20-year-old act. Now, Ruben, 20 years ago, you were probably in nappies, Ruben. But, things have moved at great lightning speed in relation to telecommunications over those 20 years. So our intelligence agencies are effectively trying to fight those who would seek to harm Australians with hands tied behind their backs. This government has had the opportunity to introduce a reformed Surveillance Act bill, and it's failed to do so. There are many other things that we've put forward to try and assist our counter-terrorism agencies to be more engaged and able to deal with the threats that they face. But for whatever reason, the Prime Minister has refused to engage with Susan on those issues. But we'll keep pressing, because at the end of the day, as an alternative government, as the opposition, Australians want us to try and get the best outcomes for Australians. So we will act in good faith. We have always acted in good faith, and we'll try our best. But at the end of the day, if you have a belligerent Prime Minister who refuses to engage with us meaningfully and instead tries to play puerile university political games, well, it makes it pretty difficult.
We're out of time, but very quickly, it's been reported more than 200 potential terrorists are living among everyday Australians. Does that seem like a high number to you?
Well, it is a high number, but I suspect that it is actually significantly underreported. As the Deputy Chair of the PJCIS, I can tell you now that there are many more than 230 that should be in de-radicalisation programs. When I was on that gig, I no longer serve on that role, but there are many more people who are not on those programs because they've been deemed either unsuitable or they haven't actually been exposed as extremists yet. So interestingly, if you break those stats down, 35% of that 230 are involved in religiously motivated violence. And this government is seriously considering removing that aspect from terrorism, from the definition of terrorism. Now, there's Jake Blythe, the Insulum, the Security Legislation Monitor. He is doing an inquiry at the moment to look at that very thing, to remove the definition of religiously motivated violence from terrorism. And if that got up under this government, Bondi would not be regarded as a terrorist event.
Andrew, unfortunately, that's all we've got time for today, but I appreciate you coming in this afternoon.
Thanks, Ruben.
Authorised by Andrew Wallace, LNP, Boccarina, Queensland.